Hey, welcome to the Love and Growth Podcast. Thank you so much for being here with us. And today, really want to get into putting each other first, how to value each other, respect each other, and
Prioritize each other.
prioritize each other. Such a great word. Um, I think one of the big things that we're looking at, and we've found over the years, and this was a big change for us, is how to view yourselves as the most important people in the relationship. Now, it might seem pretty common to say something like that, but the actuality is a lot of, especially parents, don't put each other first. So it's always
Put the
the
kids
the
first.
kids or the family or this or
Hmm.
that. And what boils down to it is if you're not putting each other first, after respecting yourself, of course, like you have to keep yourself in point, but if you're not putting each other first in front of everything else, so many other things get in the way. And I feel like we just start to slide to the back burner.
Yeah, and I think it's important to keep that going as well when you have kids because then you get to where you're an empty nester.
Yeah.
And then what do you have in common? What do you guys do together? If you spend all those years prioritizing the children, then when they're gone, what is left in the marriage or
Yeah.
your relationship?
What relationship at that point? I mean, you've spent so many years being associated with somebody else. And I think that's the same thing we've talked about before about growing and leveling up. You become associated with your label. You know, people are so quick to call themselves their own job. I'm a coach. I'm a this. I'm a that. And I think in the same part with the relationship is I'm a mom, I'm a dad, I'm a whatever. But at the end of the day, you can't take those labels on like you're a couple. And I think for us, it was a really big transition. I know for me, and I can only speak personally, so I'll kind of go back with where I went through was I was always, and I still work on this to the day, is putting everybody in front of me.
Hmm.
I put the family in front of me. I put the kids in front of me. Oh, the things that they want, the things that they need. If there's $5 left in the bank, that $5 is going to everyone else but me. And that's how it was for so long that I started to not create resentment within myself. I don't think resentment's the right word, but I was definitely starting to feel
Yeah,
a lack of appreciation, a lack of myself because I just kept giving.
right,
And at the end of the day, there was nothing left to give. So there was nothing going back into me.
right.
So for me, it became a part of,
You can't fill everybody else's cup with an empty cup.
right, you can't pour from it. You're right. So for me, my growth pattern was I had to learn to take care of me first.
Hmm.
So, one of my coaches said at one point, like, if there's one steak left for dinner, like, I'm going to eat the steak and then I'm going to go out and hunt to bring more food back with the energy that I have. And I feel like that's the same idea that you have to have with a relationship. You have to put the relationship in front of everything else because at the end of the day, if you don't function, it's not going to work.
Right.
And then not only does it not work in that sense as a relationship sense, but you're not modeling the behavior for your kids. So then they're going to grow up to start relationships and get involved with people that don't have that foundation either.
Right.
And I believe the cycle just continues.
Yeah, I think it will continue until somebody changes it. But if you don't model that, things are caught, not taught, right? Your children, they catch your habits. You don't
Yeah,
teach them your habits. So if you want them to model your behavior, then be the model that you need to be. Be that role model. Be the person and show them what to expect and what is acceptable and unacceptable in a relationship.
that's super hard, especially in this aspect, especially when you have kids, because it's like you want to do everything for them. I know that was you. Like you were big gung ho. Like the kids need this. Well, they need this. They need this. They need this. And it wasn't that they really needed it, but we wanted them to have it because we always want our kids to have more. We want you to have more. We don't want you to want for anything. But at the same point in time, we were making really big sacrifices for us,
Mm-hmm.
both financially and time wise, because we would put so much other stuff in the way.
Yeah.
We would be tired because of this. We'd be due because of that, and we would push us off.
Yeah. It was a big adjustment for me because for so long, I only had Jordan, right? I only had our son. So for the first half of his life, like it was just him and I. So till he was 8 years old,
Yeah.
it was just him and I. So then to take that when you came into our lives and switch it to, will we come first, not him and I, you and I.
Yeah.
That was a big adjustment for me.
Yeah.
Because for so long, he was my only and he was my first. So then I had to put in the work and really retrain my mind and really switch my priorities to then prioritize our relationship and our marriage first.
Well, I think there was even a missing step for you that you went through was not putting him in front of you either. Because at that point it was like, yes, you were doing everything for him, doing that stuff for him, and you were letting you go. Like you're associated. I think even now that's still a struggle for you, is being connected with who you are. And I think that's super hard.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's kind of where we got to the point where I needed to start my own journey and find who I was going to be, which is quite frankly a new journey for me.
Yeah.
Because since I was 16, I've been mom. Yeah. So it's almost finding that self-love, finding that self-care, finding that self-priority. Like, it's a lot of work. Yeah. And it takes a lot to look at yourself, find yourself, and then prioritize you and your partner on top of everything else.
Right. So you almost had like a double, kind of like a double dose of it at one time, was, trying to not only put us first, but then not get lost in us to still not have you.
Right.
So I think for you, it's super difficult still, just to make sure that you're staying true to you.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, we're still changing daily. Right. Like things that we get into, things we read, things we do, it hits us differently every single day. So it's like, this is where we're at. This is where we're going. And it's great because it's we, but each individual person has to have their own purpose, their own growth.
Yeah.
And I think being on that journey and you're going full force with it for yourself, I think is incredible. But it's super hard.
Yeah, it's not easy. Yeah, I think it's important that your journey with yourself doesn't stop, because you have to grow individually and grow as a couple.
With that, do you feel like, and this is your own opinion, of course, do you feel like that gets confusing for you? Is like, who am I in this relationship? Who am I at home? Or do you feel like you come across as different ways in different situations still, or do you feel like you're starting to kind of align across the board?
I think I'm getting better at aligning everything across the board rather than playing like a character or different, playing mom, playing wife, playing me. Like, I'm finding the solidarity in it all.
I want to go into that if that's cool. I playing wife, playing mom. I think that is a big, as small of a word that is. I think the idea of that is really big, because I think when you're putting each other first, you're not playing a role. You're commanding a situation and you're directing it. But when you bounce back and forth between those situations, you are kind of playing. You're like dabbling in things, and you're kind of here, you're kind of not, you're kind of wishy-washy through the whole thing. So there's no real level of certainty in any aspect of it. So who really pays the price of it is your kids down the road. And when I say that, I mean it in the sense that you're not modeling a strong behavior that they can now take with their relationships. We look at our son and we say, okay, this is how we want you to act as the man in your relationships. This is what you should expect. This is what you should do. This is how it should happen. And we can say it with certainty because that's the level that we're going towards. But I feel like if you're playing a role, you don't have anything beyond the base layer of
The
everything.
surface, yeah.
Yeah,
Just the
everything is
surface.
very surface level. So you're
Mhm.
almost playing a dress up role. You're almost learning lines of a play and just acting it out. So I think by creating that certainty and creating that, um, we just listened to a podcast the other day that described it as a bubble. You put that bubble about around your relationship, and this is who is the most important. Like I love our children, I love our family, I love our children, our friends mean a ton to us. I mean, there's so many special people in our lives, but it's you and I. Like it's you and I above everything else because if you and I don't function, we lose everything else. Like from now until eternity.
Right.
And I think that's the biggest thing that we don't play that game. We take it together. Nothing comes between us, nothing goes that route. And when we operate with the kids, like as much as it would be easier to just give it. Oh yeah, you can do one more of this. Okay, well, I'm tired, we won't go out for a date night this week. Oh, we won't have our board meeting this week. We won't do like it used to be so easy for us to push us to the side because we
Mhm.
played that surface level game with, well, we showed up as mom and dad today, we win, let's go to bed.
Right.
And when we started to really take our role seriously, not only as ourselves, but as a couple, it started to now set non-negotiables. We talked about that last time. The non-negotiables, the communication levels started to really rise because we were really functioning as partners. Like we
A
are
partner.
partners
Mhm.
in what we're doing. We're partners in right now. We're partners in the business and the growing things that are happening from that. We're partners in marriage. We're partners as parents. Like we're partners across the board. Like I
Yeah.
don't want to do things without you.
Right.
And I think that takes it to a whole nother level when you're talking about parent. Like we are together in this situation versus
Yeah, and I think we pretty much come with a united front. Like there's not a part or a topic or a section of our lives that we're not united in. And
it's not to say we always agree.
that's true. No, being united and in agreement are two different things. So being united means like we are aligned with
Yeah.
our overall purpose, our overall goals, our overall lifestyle that we're going for. Like
Right.
we are aligned in all of that.
Yeah.
We might have disagreements on how to get there, but it's nothing we won't work out.
Correct.
And if we're presented with an obstacle, we're going to go at it together as a united front.
Right.
We're not going to pinpoint one against the other. We're not going to say, okay, you can come between us. Like we are united front. We are a shield. We are standing there strong together.
We used to do that. Like we used to do that tit for tat a lot. Like it was always like a you versus me, like almost like a competition.
Yeah.
Well, I did more of this today, or you did more of that today. And can you believe I did this and you couldn't do that? Like, and I think
Don't do that.
please don't do that.
It's not healthy.
No,
And it does nothing but cause a wedge.
it causes a wedge. And if you feel like you need to keep score in your relationship, like something's wrong,
Yeah.
and there's something deeper that needs to be investigated and discussed and laid out on the table because there's a reason that you feel like you have to keep track now.
Yeah.
And that's probably a trust factor of broken trust or something along those lines.
Yeah, I mean, probably, or something, oh, well, I followed through with my commitment and you didn't. Like, I mean, that's a big one too. If you make a commitment to your partner, then make sure you follow through on that commitment.
Yeah.
Don't sugarcoat something and don't just say what you think your partner wants to hear.
Oh, you're going through a lot of good things. Don't jump around too much. Because those, I mean, seriously, sugarcoating things is something we talked about before as far as like people pleasing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, I don't really want to hurt his feelings. I don't really want to hurt her feelings. So maybe I won't discuss this or we won't talk about that. Or worse yet, you take it on yourself as like something you need to apologize for when it's not.
Right.
And that causes such a wedge that caused a wedge between us for the longest time. Like you would get upset or angry. I didn't even know what I did. And I would either, just walk away from you or I would be like, I'm sorry. Even though I didn't know what I did.
Yeah. And then I get more mad because you're apologizing when you don't know
what I didn't even know what I did, which is because I didn't really do anything. So,
Yeah, I'm crazy. I
well, it happens. But
don't
it's
know.
but we can't just glance over that, because that's a big wedge between people now that we hear that on a daily basis, that people talk and they say like, well, they have a lot on their plate. I know he's dealing with a lot, or she's dealing with a lot, or you know, I know I've found myself saying this at points in time where it's like, I know you're tired because of the kids, and I put an excuse and a wedge between us because I had an expectation and you either didn't follow through with what you said or whatnot, and I gave it an excuse. So I allowed that to come between us.
But that's another topic too, because you had an expectation.
Right.
But did I know your expectation?
Right. Yep.
Because then if you were expecting something and I'm like, I'm tired, I'm going to bed.
Right.
Well, I don't know what you're expecting.
Yeah. Yeah. Level of communication wasn't there.
Right.
But again, that was
break your bubble.
That'll break your bubble because you guys weren't together.
Mm-hmm.
That was us not together. We were both operating on two different playing fields, almost to say. And it's just like, I thought this was coming and you thought that was happening, and we were both completely wrong. So when you did your side and I did my side and they didn't align together, we were operating independently and thinking that we were together and didn't even speak the same language.
Right, and that's the importance of, yes, you need to do things independently and you need to like set your own goals and put yourself first. But if you don't come back as a cohesive front,
right,
and you don't find that balance to bring it back together, then you're not going to have a solid foundation.
Yeah.
Because you don't have a strong base.
Right. And then I feel like what happens is people let it go on too long. That lack of communication or those excuses or everything like that, they allow that to continue to grow until there's either a blow up or just animosity builds, so you become two totally different people. And you're just kind of cohabitating.
Mm-hmm. Like, and that was us. We got to that point.
We did get to that point because it was like we weren't talking. And when we did talk, it was just bullshit. Like there was no real substance to it. We were
there was no meaning behind our conversation. Right. It was just talk because we're in the same house with each other.
Place, right? And then we would have dinner together. We would have adult time together. But at the end of the day, like we weren't connected at that point. Mm-hmm. And I think that is one thing. Looking at it, how do you put each other first? Is like having those meaningful conversations, even if they hurt, like even if they're hard to say, and you're like, hey, I need you to know where I'm at and where I think we need to go. Because as long as you have a base level of trust and the other person feels like you're not out to just call them out for something, like they're willing to hear it. Because I know for me, you wanted so bad when we got into the love language talk before, it was like you needed, quality time so bad that mm-hmm. I didn't understand what quality time meant. I just thought, well, we're here, like here we are.
Right. And you'd be like, oh, well, we're watching TV together. Right. Oh, we're sitting here both scrolling on our phones. Oh, well, we're, just in the same room.
I mistook quality time for proximity.
Yes, that's good. That's a great analogy, actually.
And that's where I was. We had to have a long conversation about that. Like, hey, this is not going to fucking work.
Right. But again, like quality time, yes, it's my love language, but it's not yours. So right. I can't assume that you know how to give that to me. So I think a lot of things that interfere with your bubble is yourself. Like you assume that your partner knows something. You assume that your partner knows what you're thinking. You assume that. So like that's how you can let yourself sabotage your bubble.
Yeah. Damn, that's tough. Because it goes back to the stories you have in your head. Like, I just assume that she knows. Like, but we have to understand that men and women don't operate the same way. Mentally, we don't function the same way. Like, you can fight me all you want on it. Like, it's science. That's what happens.
You love science.
I love science. But at the end of the day, you have to understand that we're not the same. Right. You don't see situations the same. I don't connect the dots like you do. We don't function the same. So why would I assume that you know what I'm thinking, and vice versa? Like that seems ridiculous,
Yeah.
especially if it's only in your head anyway. Like how am I supposed to read your mind with that? But we do that all the time. And we create that barrier between us. It's like you go to bed and maybe you're not angry, but like things aren't right. You go to bed and what's the thought in your head? I can't believe they acted that way. Like, why would they do that? That's because they didn't know any different. They didn't know there was another option. They didn't know
Right.
it should have been a different way. And I think that's another staple in like, hey, if you're not going to communicate with each other and you're not going to put each other first and you're not going to take the time to have that conversation and let it all out, the question I have is why?
Right.
Why can't you connect with that person? Or why won't you connect with your person? I mean, you're my person. Like,
Yeah.
why wouldn't I take the time to lay everything out there? I mean, there's a trust factor that has to come with it, like we talked about, that I have to know that you are not out to hurt me.
Right.
Like, I have to know that you are not out to, like, hold things against me or judge me or anything like that. Like, men at the end of the day are still children in some way, shape, or form. I know that
I'm glad you admitted that.
I have to admit it because I mean, I react emotionally, not good ones, and that's typically my response, you know, but why would I have any problem laying things out to you? And if there are reasons for that, then we have to figure out what those are.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm taking you as my partner and I'm taking you as you are my person and you are my best friend and I'm doing life with you, then why wouldn't I give my all to you?
Right.
Why wouldn't I be open, honest, vulnerable, everything that you need? Because if you want a strong foundation to build your relationship off of, if you want that bubble that you can't burst or that you don't let anybody else burst, don't burst it from the inside.
Yeah. I think I find myself still holding back when I have a lot on my mind. I know that's me. I still, that's something I work on daily because it's hard for me because I feel like there's so much stuff that I deal with between the business and finances and life and our relationship and me and my health and what I'm doing and what you're doing. I think I find there's so many things that surround it that I'm like, I know you have your own stuff to worry about. So I'm like, I don't want to feel like I'm adding another burden onto you.
But at the same point in time, that also means that you're not giving me all of you.
Exactly. That's exactly where I'm going. And that's where I think that it's a growing process for me as well. That before it was very easy for me to just hold all that stuff in for weeks, months on end until it was just like it would just explode out. And now it's like 2 minutes, 30 seconds, 10 seconds, where it's like, hold on, I just got a lot on my mind, and then I can articulate it to you. And I'm willing to articulate it to you because it's like it doesn't make me weak. The vulnerability doesn't make me weak. And I think that's one thing, guys, if you connect the dots, like vulnerability doesn't make you weak, it makes you stronger. Because if you're with the person that you trust and you are doing life with, like they need to know that you are giving all of you. And if you hold back or you keep up one wall or you just, there's a hitch in what you're saying, like one, women are going to find it because you guys are good at that kind of stuff. But two, what else are you hiding? What are you not only hiding from them, what are you hiding from you?
Right. It opens up a whole can of worms. And along with that, don't say something just to please us. If you don't have the backing for it, if you don't have a plan to follow through on a commitment you make to us, then don't make that commitment. Like if you know in your head you're already not going to follow through on it, then don't promise it.
Or you're going to find a reason to not do it or whatnot.
And then all you're going to do is hurt your partner. All you're going to do is again cause like that wedge that interferes with your trust, with your relationship, with building that bubble around the two of you.
Yeah, looking at that, I think the other thing I would add on to that is if it's something you're not comfortable, fucking say it. Like maybe it's not even that something that you don't want. Maybe you do want it, but you don't even understand like the level that the other person wants it, I think that all needs to be displayed. Like, it's just like setting goals. Like, you're going to set a goal, it's going to be a specific thing, there's going to be specific actions that go with it, but there's also going to be a timetable. Like, I want to do this quarter. I want to do this year. I want to look for this in 2 years. I want to buy that in 5 years. I want to have, like, setting those time frames even with each other at least puts you both on the same path and understanding, because if you don't have those conversations with those specifics, both of you are just kind of throwing it up in the wind and hoping that like things are going to come out. Because if we're like, you're talking about what's a big purchase? Oh, a big purchase, like buying a house. Hey, we want to buy a house. I want to buy a house. Okay, great. But then it's like, okay, well, in 1 year, in 2 years, in 10 years, you want to rent, you want to own, you want to lease the rent, you want to do this. Like, how much of a house? How big? How small? Like, having those detailed conversations in there, I think, is big, because then you both are literally speaking the same language and living life together. Because then you could start to merge big goals for your family and for you. But if one of you is disconnected from what those goals are, you're doing it on your own. As much as you think you're aligned, like, you won't know what I'm thinking if I don't say it.
Right.
Back to what we were saying before, and that's the same thing with having those hard conversations and things that you want. And if maybe you're early in a relationship and you want to talk about having kids, you're dating now and you want to talk about getting married, you want to talk about all these kind of things in the future, like, set time frames.
Yep.
Hey, I'd like to have this year. Like, I'd like to go through this next year. I'd like for us to start the plan and do things for this. That way, you two are prepared together. Like, when you talk about kids, like, there's no perfect time to have kids. Like,
Yeah.
let's be realistic. But
And you'll never be able to afford it, so don't wait till you can afford it.
I mean, maybe you can. Maybe you're going to pull that out. Kids are expensive and crazy too. But thinking like that, it's like, at least you two can have a plan moving forward.
Right. And I mean, we can even use us for an example, right? I mean, we've been together 9 years. We just got married a year ago.
We did.
Because it was something that it wasn't necessarily like super important. It didn't change the way we live our lives.
Right.
But I got to the point where I was like, why not?
Yeah.
And then we were like, okay.
We sat down
and then it was just, all right, let's plan it.
Yeah.
And then it was planned.
Right.
Like, but that's how simple it was. It was like, okay, oh, this is something that you want. This is something that has now become important.
Right. And I think that's another big thing is, like, understand the importance of each other's wants. Because I think if you rank things out and you say, like, when we brought up the marriage topic, for me, I was like, I can take it or leave it. Like, I be honest, like, I'm happy where we are. Our family's good. Like, we're happy where we're at. I didn't see the need for it, but then, you came and you expressed it and what it was meant to you and what it was. And once that was out on the table, like, okay, that makes sense. Like, I would want to give that to you. I want you to have that part of it. And I think if you can't have that conversation and honestly talk about how much you want something to happen,
yeah,
like, you're not together on that. Like, you're just one kid asking for something for Christmas. Oh, do you think it'd be okay if I could do this? Do you think it'd be okay if we could do that? And you're downplaying how much you really want something. And I hate to beat like the marriage or the kid thing in there, but those are big life decisions that maybe one person wants more than the other one. But if you discuss it and you actually have open conversations with it, and both people agree, like, honestly agree, and you're connected on that, and you set the time frame, you set the path. Once you're on the same boat with that, if something happens, that could wreck everything. Like, you basically, what I'm trying to say is, like, when you're going and you guys set a goal and you're going to go accomplish something for this. I want to buy a house in 2 years. Something happens with my business or life or something, the market crashes, whatever it is, or a house that we wanted falls through. If we had a goal for 2 years and then all of a sudden something went wrong, that's a chink in our trust factor. That's something that we're like, well, we had that set. Like we talked about that. We were going to get this done. Like what happened? And I feel like if you have a lot of little cracks in that bubble leading up to something like that, something big, like you could break the whole thing open.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess that kind of goes back to the start of this. Like, there's always going to be something else. There's always going to be an outside source.
Right.
There's going to be something out of your control. Like, if the house you want to falls through, that's not necessarily in your control.
Right.
But are you going to be able to stay controlled in your relationship to go to plan B, to move on from that?
I don't know if control is the word I would use. I would say connected.
Well, I mean, like, have self-control. That you don't
Oh, that
allow
you don't
that.
allow that. Yeah, yeah.
Right, that
Okay,
you don't
I got
allow
it.
that.
Yeah, I mean, what I was thinking is more of like, how do you guys stay connected through troubled times like that? Does it cause rifts between you? Does it cause fights? Does it cause this? Does it
Well,
cause
I
that?
would say not. You don't even need to say like between a huge thing like that. I mean, you and I just had this conversation not too long ago where our daily lives were like, hey, whoa, wait a second. We're feeling like we're a little disconnected here. We need to reel that in and correct it.
Yeah.
And I think that's important to understand that and acknowledge that and be like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Something's off. Something's not working. We need to reel it in.
Yeah.
We need to find a solution because we need to get that connection back. We need to get our solid foundation back.
Right. Yeah, it's a constant re-eval. Like you constantly have to reevaluate where you're at. And I think that's where the non-negotiables of your weekly schedule and your connections need to happen. Like that's why non-negotiables are so important. And not to bring them up on another show, but like that's why they're so important because all those non-negotiables are little bits of trust. You're building up a bank of trust. And the more that I can trust you, the more I know that you're my partner and I know that we're going to keep going through things and we're still together with it.
Yeah.
But if we keep pulling from that bank and withdrawing from that bank, oh, we missed date night because you were sick. Oh, we missed date night because we were tired. Oh, we missed date night because of this. All those little tiny things add up so much to just a full break in trust.
Yeah.
And a full break in each other.
Yeah. I think since we started date night and set that as non-negotiable, I think we missed it one time.
Once.
And that was because I was dying.
Yeah, you were super sick.
I was really sick. But we said, hey, I feel a little bit better. And we planned a makeup day immediately.
Yeah.
Like we pivoted. But that was an extreme. That was like I was not getting up off of the couch. It wasn't happening. I was severely sick.
No, I think we went out like 2 days later.
2 days later.
Got back back on
and then
schedule.
went back on Tuesday. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that, but that's we had banked so many weeks. I mean, we're talking years of date nights.
Right. But I think the makeup was important.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't just, oh, well, we missed our regular night, so we're just not going to do it. It was, okay, I'm better now. Let's go.
Yeah. We didn't, it's almost like saying, well, I'll start Monday. No, like you were sick. Okay. The next available date that you were feeling better, like we went.
Yeah.
And then we were back on schedule. We were back to putting those dollars back in the bank and adding that thing up. But that's, I mean, it was not too long ago, we would have just been like, all right, scrap it. Maybe we'll get it done next week. Maybe we'll go back out next week. Maybe we'll do that. And I think that wasn't all that long ago that we would say we'd be at that point. So I think we've come a long way with really taking this to a whole other level.
You have to take a hard line with it.
Yeah.
You have to make that, like, when you make the commitment, you make the commitment. I think the main thing that you need to do to start that foundation or to start to put yourselves in a bubble is build trust.
Yeah. How would you start in that aspect? Just what's one thing you would say, like, hey, if you want to start building trust now, it might seem like the simplest thing in the world. What's one thing that could start today?
Follow through.
If you say it, do it.
If you say it, do it.
Even on the smallest of things. things.
Tiniest of things. If you say you're going to take out the trash, then go take out the trash.
Right. Yeah. I agree. Yeah, that's a good one. I was trying to make it harder than it actually was. No, that makes that. It's true. I mean, you look at it and we we look at things and we're like, it can't be that easy. Like it can't be that easy to build trust. And yeah, it is. Like if you
Follow
say you're
through.
going to do it, do it.
Do it. That's it.
Tell the truth. Do what you say you're going to do, and just be there.
Yeah, and especially if there was something where trust was broken. Right? So like we had that.
That was us.
We had that where you completely broke my trust. Well, how did you gain it back? You had to start with follow through.
Right.
Even on the tiniest things. And even now, like life can be so crazy and you'll tell me to do something and you will honestly forget.
Yeah.
Like just because of everything on your plate, and I'll still be like, you told me you were gonna do this. Right. But if I remind you and say you said you were gonna do this, you'll be like, shit, I'll do it right now. Like if you forgot and I had to remind you, you will literally drop everything and do it then.
Yeah. It feels terrible. I know for me, like everything that we've been through aside, like that makes me feel terrible if I said I'm going to do something and I completely forgot. Because I know that I do struggle with memory for all different reasons. But I know that that's a hard thing for me. So I try to write it down or put it, but if I don't put it in my calendar right away, like I know I'm going to forget.
Right. And again, like I don't get mad right away because I know you have not to make excuses, but I know that you honestly forget.
Yeah.
But if I have to nag you, now I'm pissed. Now you didn't follow through. Now I'm turning into a naggy bitchy wife. Like, don't let it get that far.
Right.
If you have to bring up a reminder, fine. You know everybody's human.
Right.
But don't make it go past that. Like I said, like if I have to remind you, you're dropping everything and doing it right then and there.
Right.
So like don't drag it out and don't make it go past one reminder.
Yeah. Now here's the other thing, and on the flip side of that, like if you're asked to do something and you truly don't want to do it, like say something.
Say it. Don't commit to something you're not going to follow through on.
Don't commit to something you're not going to follow through on. Exactly. Because you're going into it lying. Like that's a lie. Like if you tell me or ask me to do something and I know, one, I don't want to do it, and two, I'm going to find every reason not to do it, like that's a lie.
Yeah. And in case you need it spelled out for you, lying won't build trust.
Lying does not build trust. Lying does not build trust. There's a big shock. Put that on your forehead. Like, tell the truth. Stop lying. You'll hear me say it every single show, every single time, because it's the simplest fact, and it's the hardest thing for people to do. Because you think that you're pleasing somebody or you're avoiding conflict with it, but at the end of the day, the conflict is going to be so much greater because you're full of shit. And you're going to get exposed, and the fight is going to be massive because not only did you lie, the other person caught you. Now you feel trapped, and now the whole thing explodes because now you're both pissed off. Because now you're a liar, now you're exposed as yourself, now the other person exposed you, and it fucking fell in a handbasket. Sorry, big tangent. Throws me off, bothers me. But I think you're right. I think it's that basic foundation of don't lie. Tell the truth, be honest, show up.
Follow through?
And follow through. And I know I started this and I kind of want to come full circle with it all, but this is a topic that I believe in fully, that the relationship needs to come first. And I know we stressed it and we've gone in a couple different ways and making sure that we kind of cover all the bases, but you have to come first. This relationship has to come first because at the end of the day, not only are we modeling the behaviors that we want our kids to follow, if we are not strong, we cannot grow, which means our family cannot grow. And if our family does not grow, we never hit the things that we want to do. And that puts everybody in a negative state.
Yeah.
And I think that's a scary place to be if you're just playing not to lose instead of actually playing to win together. Because I know there's a lot of, and I'll say there's a lot of husbands out there that might travel for work that are like, oh yeah, I get a week away. Like, I don't want to leave you. Like, I want you to go to the places that I go. I want you, I just got to spoke at our son's high school the other day, and it's like, I wanted you to be there. I wanted you to be a part of it. I want to do life with you.
Hmm.
And I
Yeah.
want that to be the standard of everything, because when our kids are old enough to have their own relationships, I want them to live that life too.
Yeah. I mean, and that goes back to like, you are my person. You are my life commitment. Why would I not want to do everything for you?
With you.
With you.
Yeah.
Sorry. With
No,
you.
no, sorry.
But well, for you and with you,
Yeah.
like both. Like, I should want to do things for you. I should want to do things with you.
Right.
And doing, I think the more that you can do together and the more that you can spend time together just helps build stronger relationships, just helps you
Yeah.
build your stronger foundation.
Yeah, because you look at it and you go, why should I want to be away from you?
Right.
Why would I want to be away? Like, I like that I get to do things and go present and do these types of things, but I want you there. Like, I think about you. I wish you were there. It's fun to do these things with you, even if it's, I'm speaking at whatever event for however long. Like, I still know that I get to come home to you, and that's what I want. And it's, the times that we get to miss each other, and we connect and we talk and we text and we video and we do all that stuff. But it's, you know, I want to do these things with you, and I want to be the change in our generations to say, like, hey, I want to do this life with you.
Yeah.
I don't want to be to the point where we're in the same house cohabitating. Like, I want
Right.
us to do
Or
that.
or like, oh, I need to go hang out with the guys and talk shit about your wife the whole time. Or hey, we need to go hang out with the girls and talk shit about your husband the whole time. Like,
Yeah,
no, I'd rather hang out with you.
yeah,
Or if I do go hang out with the girls, like, because let's face it, we do need alone time once in a while.
of course.
But I'm not going to go hang out with the girls that are going to talk shit about their husbands because that's not what I live by. Like, I actually like my husband most of the time. Most. There are times, but.
No, most. That's a way.
But, like, you were really my best friend.
Yep.
So why wouldn't I want to spend time with you?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't I want these things with you? Why wouldn't I want to go and support you at your speaking engagements? Like, I don't understand. If you're just that unhappy in your relationship that you can't wait to get away and talk shit, then like, and fix it.
Find out what. Find out why.
You shouldn't feel that way about your partner.
Yeah, you shouldn't. You shouldn't want to have. You should. You shouldn't need to have a vacation time from your partner. Like, you can want to have a weekend away. You can want to have a girls' weekend, a guys' weekend, a kids' weekend, whatever it is. But at the end of the day, like, I'm going to have 99% more weekends with you than I am with anybody else, like kids included. Like, I want to live this life with you, and it doesn't mean I love my kids any less. It doesn't mean I love my family any less. It doesn't mean I don't care deeply about the guys that I'm connected to in my life. But you're my person. So, like,
yeah, you're my number one.
You're my number one. So, besides building myself up and filling my own cup, like, this is our bubble. This is our relationship. We are number one in this family.
Yeah.
So, think we missed anything?
I don't know. I feel like we talked about a lot of things in there.
We did talk a lot of things.
It's important to have a strong foundation.
Yeah, super important. And
put your relationship first. Prioritize each other.
Yeah.
Prioritize building that foundation. Prioritize telling the truth. Prioritize communication. Prioritize committing and following through. And prioritize just putting each other first.
Yeah. And it's not at the sacrifice of yourself. Like, you have to have a solid foundation in you.
Right, because again, you can't pour from an empty cup.
Right, in order to give for each other. But just like the classic line in every airplane safety speech, you must put on your own safety mask before you help others. You must make sure your relationship is solid and secure before you can lead anybody else. And I think we work day in and day out to make sure that we stay at the level that we're at or we've gotten to, and to grow beyond it.
Yeah.
And I think that's a super thing. And I think that's what I want everybody to do is really, really evaluate where you are currently in yourself and in your relationship. And if there is conversations that you're hesitating to have, or there's things that are outstanding that you don't know why they're kind of sitting out there, ask. Find a time that you guys can connect. Ask. Have those heartfelt conversations. Like, know that some of them are going to hurt. It's a band aid. You have to rip the band aid off. It's going to suck. It's going to hurt. But on the flip side of it, if you love each other and you're connected with each other and you really want the best for each other, the only way to get through it is together through those hard times.
Yeah. You have to address the hard time to get through the hard time.
Yeah.
You have to have those hard
They
conversations.
don't just go away.
You can't be afraid to talk to your partner.
Yeah.
Like, you should be able to have an open book. You should be able to have any conversation, anything that's wrong. Like, go to your partner about it. Have those tough conversations. Work it out. Some of them are going to be arguments. Some of them you're going to have to fight through.
Yeah, they won't get resolved right away. This isn't a TV show. Like, it's not a 30-minute sitcom. Like, some fights take longer, and you have to keep readjusting and readjusting and negotiating and going back and forth. But the negotiation should never be from one side winning and one side losing. It needs to be, how do we negotiate so that we both win and our relationship takes the top spot.
Right. There has to be some type of compromise in there where you both win.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You can't just say, nope, this is what I want, and take that hard line and not give a little bit for your partner. Correct. Because again, it's two people.
Right. And that's the bottom line. Because if you're still operating your relationship as this is what we've always done, like, you're not prioritizing each other. Like, you're not building a bubble.
Yeah.
Like, because this is what we've always done, even as of 2 years ago, isn't how we operate fully now. And the people we're going to be in 5 years from now would look back on where we're at now and just wouldn't even recognize it. I think that's the idea of putting it forward together, setting those standards together. And I hope that, you guys could take something from this and really take some sort of nugget. But the bottom line is just really make a commitment and hold yourselves accountable and follow through. Tell the truth. Prioritize each other, because at the end of the day, when you lay your head on the pillow, like, you are the last person I see at night. You're the first person I see in the morning. Like, that means something to me. And I want this life to be incredible.
Yeah. And again, like, those with children, like, your kids are going to be grown and out of the house one day. Right. You still only have each other. Don't wait 18, 20 years
to figure it out,
to be with each other.
Yeah. Yeah. Because at that point, it's too late. Yeah. You guys have grown so much on your own that you wasted all that time. And then by the time that the kids are done and gone, like, you can't stand each other because you don't even know who each other are.
Right.
And then you haven't lived. But let's face it too, if they see you modeling that behavior, like, they're going to gravitate to people that want to live the same way. And they'll model it, and you'll be so excited to see them prioritizing somebody else and that person prioritizing them. So set the standard. Like, set the standard for your family. Don't cave to anything. Don't let anybody or anything inside your bubble. And do
including
life.
Family.
Including family. Just do life with each other. Just, like, make the commitment to do life with each other. That's all I want for people, is to just find love and happiness and growth within each other. I think it's incredible. Anything that we missed? I don't think it's possible at this point. All right. Thank you guys again for staying tuned with us. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit the subscribe button. It super helps out the channel. Like button. Share this content with anybody that you know. We are still on Spotify, so if you can give us a 5-star review on there. Follow us on Loving Growth Podcast on Instagram. It really helps us out. We know that we're connected with people, and we really want to see people win.
Yeah, I think that one of my favorite things is when we get feedback from people.
Yeah,
I love to hear who this resonates with or what you get out of it, and that really helps fill my cup.
Yeah, and those of you that are giving us positive feedback and reviews, like, thank you so much. Like, we're so blessed to have you in our lives, and we appreciate you taking the time. So follow us, get the subscribe button, like the channel. Thank you for being here on our journey. I love you.
Um,
Thank you again, and we'll see you on the next one.
Bye.